Hey F1 fans, welcome back to the Who Moved Up and Who Moved Down, this time after Saudi Arabia. Let's take a look. All right, our first switch up is Mercedes drops one down and McLaren goes up one. McLaren's had a pretty uneventful race, but both drivers ended up ahead of their Mercedes rivals. Oscar finishing really nicely in P4 after qualifying in P5, and Lando finishing further back in P8, having elected not to pit during the safety car, but still bringing them overall better. Mercedes, really, it was similar to McLaren, but just a little further back. George got P6 and Lewis got P9 due to not pitting during the safety car. All right, we have a bunch of switch ups toward the backfield. Let's see. So Sauber drops down, both cars finishing at the back of the grid in P17 and P18. With the terrible stop for Bottas, and yeah. Haas had a great race. Kevin Magnussen held up the entire backfield to make a gap for Nico Hülkenberg ahead of him to be able to pit without losing a spot. And it worked. And Hulkie ended up in P10 after starting P15. So that was pretty awesome. Haas has their first point. And Magnussen himself got two 10-second penalties for his troubles and ended up in P12 rather than P11. Some people arguing that 5-second penalties have been given in the past for the things that he had done, but nonetheless, it only lost him one spot, and both of them did really well. The Racing Bulls moved down. Yuki qualified extremely well in P9, but fell back during the race to P15. And Ricciardo just couldn't find any pace, finishing P16. He's going to have to prove something at some point, otherwise Yuki will be the main driver, even with all his tantrums. And Williams moved up due to mostly their rivals moving down, but they took advantage. Alex finishing P11 and Logan finishing P14. They have no points, but their higher position rank, compared to their competitors, ranks them higher in the standings. And I wanted to mention that Logan Sargeant was our driver of the week for guessf1.com. I'm not too thrilled about Logan Sargeant, so I was like, he's just gonna DNF or finish last before the DNFs. So I guessed P19, but damn it, he did P14, so I've dropped down a lot in the Guess F1 standings. But hey, I won last year, so I still have hopes that I can guess and that I can get up higher. Stay tuned. Come play the game. It's really fun. All right. And finally, we have all the teams that stayed the same in terms of Red Bulls. They're way up there, dominating for another 1-2 finish. Sergio gets a 5-second penalty for unsafe release during pit stops, but pulls enough of a gap so it didn't change anything, and he still finished in P2. For Ferrari, Oliver Bearman drove instead of Carlos Sainz, who had to undergo an emergency appendectomy. The reserve driver did extremely well. At 18 years old, with only like an hour of practice time before quali, successfully fending off the battling Norris and Lewis right behind him for the last 5 laps. They were on softs that were newer than his tires. So yeah, he kept his head. This is a hard track. It's a physical track. He just did so well. So he put a good showing on himself. He finished P7 with 6 points for his F1 debut. I just sort of feel bad because it sets him back on his F2 championship, because he actually got pole position for his F2 race in Formula 2. And then he didn't race. So he'll get 0 points on a race that would have given him very good points for that particular championship. But hey, you don't miss an opportunity to make a mark in F1. I think a lot of eyes will be on him if they have a driver's seat to fill. Okay, and Leclerc qualified in P2 and finished P3. So that was really good, but there's just no catching the Red Bulls, no matter how good you drive, it seems. Still, Ferrari solidly in second place. Aston Martin stayed the same, but again, it's a little bit of Team Alonso. Stroll clipped a wall and went into the side, causing the first and only safety car. Alonso had a great race, starting in P4 and finishing in P5. They're not happy where the car is. They know that there's more there, but still, that's really good, solid, sticking to your positions. Okay, and then those poor Alpines, they just continue to sit, taking up the rear. Pierre Gasly had to retire lap 1 due to a gearbox issue, so he's just way back there. And Ocon ended in P13, so no points again. All right, let's take a quick look. I just wanted to take a look again at last race from last year versus where the teams have settled into this year, because it's cool how they're settling now. And I won't do it again, I promise. But I love this thing. I love the data. I love comparing and looking at it. All right, so yeah, so Mercedes solidifying their drop with Ferrari and McLaren picking up the slack. So yeah, Mercedes really struggling. We have this big sad swap between Alpine completely just falling short and putting all their hopes on the upgrade that they have coming. I think they said in Australia. And Haas, having already scored a point, jumps ahead of this whole backpack. Haha. Okay, we have a little swap there. AlphaTauri drops a little, the Racing Bulls now, and Kick Sauber rises up one because of Yuki's good finish so far. And then finally, everyone else stayed the same. So yeah, we have a little symmetry here, a nice little pyramid pattern in the bottom. And there we go. This is how it's solidifying out. Let's see how it plays out during the season. I love this stuff. Let's take a look at the drivers now. What happened between the last 2 races? Okay, a whole bunch of shifting in the top pack. Or, well, the top pack behind the Red Bulls, because they kind of just are up there. Yeah, like I already said everything, so let's just take a look. Saints has dropped down because he couldn't race, so I'm sad for him. He's dropped down just like I have. Man, I was just sad me dropping down like that in the Guess F1 Championship due to Logan Sargeant. And this next driver is going to be Ocon, so he's another one that's hard to guess. Yeah, and we've got Piastri doing really well, going up. Yep, Alonso being Team Alonso again, and Russell doing okay. Whereas Norris and Hamilton, yeah, I bet they're really kicking themselves for not switching their tire at that safety car like everyone else, because it did cost them. Okay, we have a bunch of switching up towards the mid-back of the pack. Our big runner, of course, is Hulky, who got a point. So he goes just ahead of all these people who still have 0 points. And the other up is Albon. Like, he's just solidly performing in as much as the Williams can do. We'll see if Logan Sargeant ever catches up to that. And who else is slightly up? Okay, Ocon. He actually accomplished something with that car instead of absolutely nothing. And everyone else just kind of slides back into position. Cool. Okay, a little bit of mixing at the back with Gasly dropping. Again, it doesn't help to basically have a DNF, not have raced. And Sargeant going up to burn me in the Guess F1 Championship. And yes, then we have our Red Bulls solidly in first place. I wanted to take a quick look at, again, like I said, last year. So let's go to that now with a little more solidification. But also, I had to drop that from the last video because there were some mess ups with the scores. So it was just wrong. It was bad. Anyway, so let's take a look at the driver changes from last year to now. Yeah, so we have poor Hammy dropping down, really struggling with the Mercedes. Other drop downs are Alonso. Yep, the Aston not as great as it was. And Norris, I think Norris is going to snap back because just it was the pit stop strategy thing. And then we have Russell and Piastri moving up very nicely. Solid, really solid. Like Russell's definitely much more comfortable in the Mercedes than Hamilton. And Leclerc, cool. And Sainz even has moved up without even racing from where they were last year. So that's, you know, that's something for them to take away and feel good. Good about that. I'm not really going to look at the gaps quite yet because it's just early days. All right, let's see what else. Whole bunch of changing at the back. The big down here is Gasly, like totally falling off the championship. Another big down is Ocon. So that's both of the Alpines. We have a big up here from Hülkenberg, having scored a point very early. And other up movers are Zhou, having done solidly in the first race, and Magnussen, in spite of all those penalties. So yeah, there we go. That's the driver shakeup with, of course, those drivers staying right where they were. So there you have it. A lot of movement. Of course, that's normal at the beginning of a season, but it's so fun to track and to watch it evolve over time. If you enjoy it, please like and subscribe and share with your friends, because you know what? I don't really want to put it on Facebook anymore. I know a lot of my Facebook people are not into F1, so I might put like the big ones on Facebook, like here's a new season, but otherwise, please help and share if you like it. And yeah, just there's nothing in it for me, but guessf1.com is really fun. Lothar's brother did such a great job doing it. He's not a professional programmer. He's actually a pediatrician. He's a doctor for children. He does so many things, and he has created this wonderful online game. So yeah, just check it out. Don't worry if you missed a few races. The score averaging takes care of you. Yeah, that's it. So enjoy, and until next time.